Anybody that's in the group, if you have any questions, you can just go ahead and type your questions there in the chat. And yeah, so I put that in there. So anybody that's in the question, so I can see if anybody is in the group that has any questions, they can ask it while we're on this live. Okay. So Prina, I guess the floor is yours. If you have any questions, go ahead and shoot them to me. You can come off mute and ask if if you're ready or if you have anything. I hope I'm saying the word.
Thanks. Oh yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think I had just a little bit of a question in terms of like in season and out of season, and what you might recommend, you know, in terms of like doing the workouts. Like right now, Eve is in season and her practices are in the evenings.
Mhm.
So what would you recommend, like kind of trying to come up with a set schedule on when she does the work on this?
Okay, so that's a good question. So in season, first of all, I want you to, well, you to know, and then everybody else to know that training in season is as important as training off season. All right, so that's the first thing. I like to and what sport does she play? What sport is she in? Let me ask that.
She's in lacrosse.
Lacrosse. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So if we think about in terms of track athletes are training during the in season because their practice is training, right? So it works similar to that. All right. And so depending on where you are in the season, we're going to we're going to we're going to gradually work up to the top speed. Okay. So we want to be like, if we're in the middle, and I'll say it like this, if we're in the middle of the season, we want to kind of be in the middle of the program, kind of like with the workouts. All right. I know that's not answering your question, but I just kind of want to give this information, and then I'll just dive into to really dissecting the question. But we kind of use this gradual curve here as far as the training, and as we get to the end of the season, we want to start ramping up the speed as far as training training faster, if that makes sense, right? So we're going to be training a little bit faster as we get to the end of the season because we want them to be at their fastest when it comes to championship season. All right, so we don't want to train them really, really fast, really, really early because they'll do this, they'll start running fast, and then they'll plateau, and then they'll start coming back down. All right, and what we want to do is do this gradual thing so we can get them running at peak performance at the end of the season. Okay, so so that's just a little bit of background on the thought process. As far as how many times to do it, I would kind of break it down during the season, kind of want to start doing like 2 to maybe 3 times a week when they have time. So if the evenings, just depends on the practice schedule. All right. So are they practicing 4 or 5 times a week, or how do they practice?
Yeah, 4 or 5. Yep.
Okay. Okay. And then you say it's in the evenings. So you're looking for, so right now you're just kind of looking for time. Like, when do we have time to do this? Right.
Yeah, yeah. If it's right before practice, if that's, you know, I don't know if it even matters.
Right. So these workouts, I would concentrate now, right now, if they're doing 4 times a week, concentrate on doing like the drills and keeping the form maintained right now. Okay. So just do the drills. Don't worry about so much as the hard sprinting running just yet, because they're
Got
gonna
it.
get that during the practices and things, right? Because I'm pretty sure they run
Yes, that's right.
sprints and things.
Yeah.
So focus on the form and making sure that they're running, that she's running properly, and that she translate or transitions that into the actual the play. All right. So she can do those before practice, right? She can do those every day before practice because that could be her warm up. Just doing the drill portion of it, right?
Yep.
And then
Great.
once we get comfortable with that and we start seeing it translating to the play, maybe mid-season. I don't know where she's at in the season, but maybe mid-season we can start adding in the running so we can start getting her faster. And then when we do running, it doesn't have to be a whole lot because literally it works like magic. If we do some resistance, maybe 4 or 5 reps, we could do that after practice. And then we do some what I call the over, well, we call it overspeed is when you actually pull instead of resisting. We're actually going to pull them, try to get them go faster. We do that 3 or 4 reps after practice. We do that 2 or 3 times a week. And I mean, it only takes about, it'll probably only take about 10 or 15 minutes to do 4 or 5 reps. At the end, you'll start seeing that speed start to increase, especially if you time it, you'll definitely see a difference there. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. All right. So, for those of you out there who are wondering the same thing, there you go. That's the answer. Because, like I said, in season workouts are as important as off season. And I know I guess it would make sense. It would make sense that most people would think that, we do off season training to get better for the season, right? So what happens is you do all this work during the off season, and then you get to the real season, and then everything that you work for goes down because most people think that practice is training. Practice is not training. Practice is practice because what I like to say is, or what the reality of it is training is your vision for yourself and trying to get better as an individual. Practice is the coach's vision and trying to get the team as a collective better, right? And so they're not, while they do focus on specific positions and trying to get them better with the skills, but getting them better with the skills helps the athlete fit into the coach's scheme. And it's going to be like that whether they play elementary school, middle school, high school, professional, right? It's always going to be like that. The coaches are going to want them to be able to learn the tactics and the skills to fit their system and fit the way the player is supposed to play in their system. Okay, it doesn't matter if it's basketball, track, lacrosse. Basketball, football, lacrosse, any of those sports, right? As as you could probably tell, for most of you, some of you have watched NFL maybe, and you'll hear a commentator say, "Well, he was in the wrong system," right? And the player is better at one team than he is on the other teams. Like, well, what happened? He's the same player. Well, it's because he knows that player is better in another system because that system fits his play style, right? And so that's kind of the difference there. So when you're in season, you kind of want to continue everything that you were doing in the off season, and then you want to continue to get better. Now there is a time for rest. All right, there is a time for rest. After their season is done, you probably want to take a good 2 to 3 weeks off, and then in most cases we would like, especially with the younger athletes, is to have them switch sports and do something different and not do the same thing over and over and over as far as the sport's concerned. Like all of the other things like running, lifting, um, that 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 pretty much stay the same. The agility things, you want to continue to do those things. But typically once they finish, like say you got a football player, football's over, give them a couple of weeks to rest, and then they can start, basketball or something like that. Right. And then that way we're using different muscles, and we're not straining the same muscles and coming up with injuries and things like that. So there is a time for rest in between. Um, but that training during the off season and in season is both as equally as important. All right. Yeah. Anything else? Okay. I don't see any other questions. So let me ask you this: where is she in the season right now?
So Eve is, they're wrapping up, they got their last tournament this coming week in Maryland, and then they have the tryouts for the next season in 2 weeks. So she's kind of like, she needs to be at tip top in 2 weeks. She needs to be at like, everything needs to be firing really,
Okay.
really fast for that. So two
So
weeks.
she has 2 weeks coming up for that.
Yeah.
Okay. So where's she at in the program? The program that
She's early in the program, just about a weekend.
okay. She's about a weekend. Um, and how often is she doing it?
Almost every day. I don't think she's hitting every day, but she's trying to do it every day.
Okay. So I want you to continue to do the I want you to continue to do the drills.
Okay.
All right. And I also want you to incorporate 2 weeks. For the next week, I want you to do some add in. I want you to add in some resistance training for her. When that means, like, even if you just had a towel and put it around her waist and let her somebody stand behind her, let her fight to run for about, you know, 5 or 6 seconds, and then let it go and let her sprint.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And we got
Uh,
the resistance bands too, so
or
we can do
resistance
that.
bands too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Great.
So
Okay.
I want to do resistance band for a week, and then turn it around and start pulling her with the resistance band for the next week.
Okay.
And let's do let's let's cut out
Hmm.
the running portions of the program, right?
Yep.
And the only running that she should do is the resistance. And so let's have her do 4 to 6. I would say probably like 6 of those resistance runs like that.
Yep.
Um, give her a break, like 5 or 6 minutes, like a full recovery break, and then have her do another set of those. About 4 of those. So let's do like 6 on the first one, let her break, and then let her do 4 on those. So she'll end up doing 10 in all, but with a break in there. So maybe do those on 2 days out of the week, and then every other day she can just do the drills. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
And then the next week we'll do the same thing, except for we'll just turn her around. We'll just start pulling.
Okay.
Right. And so that right there should have her running at tip top. And also send me some videos so I can see, make sure she's on the toes and the form looks good and everything, so we get her ready for those tryouts and be, because if she can show that speed, then it's going to be
Yeah.
good for her.
Yep. In terms of videos, do you want to see like at her at full running, or like what's the best way for me to video her?
Yeah, she can do full runs. Also from the side, as long as you can be on the side, you know,
Yeah. Yep.
running like this way or the other way.
Yep.
And so that lets me be able to see everything, and then I can
Great.
give you feedback.
Okay.
All right. Is that everything from you? I think
That is. Thank you so much. That's really helpful.
oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.